today, as you know, we're just finishing up the Ten Commandments. And Jim, when we met months ago, we said, hey, Jim says, you know, if anything comes to you through those Ten Commandments and you want to give a message, speak up. Or any sin. Well, the Ten Commandments to me they're heavy duty. And they kind of freak me out a little bit. They scare me. But some of the lighter sins, I thought maybe I'll deal with some of those. So if you remember a while back, I think I talked on judgment. And today, I'm picking one of those lighter sins. It's something we all do, so it can't be that bad, right? It's something, I guarantee you, we all do it. And I was thinking, if it's something we all do, and it's something that's kind of fun, too, but we all do it, so I think I'm going to pick that one. So it can't be that bad, but what I'll do is I'll introduce it with a video to start off with.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
I really enjoyed church today.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm really impressed with Frank. Frank has come so far since I first met him. He has that true heart of a servant, and it's just so awesome to see him growing. And the boys he's bringing into the front row, I love those guys. They bring so much energy to the church, and there's just something about having those guys right there. It just makes me feel so great.
Yeah.
And I always love having all the girls in the front row, all the young girls that come up and give me hugs. It just makes my day. Every Sunday, having those girls hug me, there's nothing better.
Yeah.
I really enjoy spending time with Carlos. He has come so far as well. He's got such a great heart and so much energy. I really love that guy. Except today we went for a run, and I'm the one who got him into running, and now he's better than me. So he's starting to walk around church all puffed up. And at the end of our run today, he just took off. He just wouldn't even wait for me. So he's just starting to become so conceited about how he's a much better runner than I am. It was great seeing Robert and Tracy in church today. You know, everybody loves them. Everybody loves them because they act like they care about everybody. Robert and Tracy, they act like they care about everybody. I know that can't be true. Nobody can really care about that many people that much. My guess is they have ulterior motives, and I'm going to find them out. And it was cool seeing Jesse and Cheryl in church today. I miss those guys when they're not there. Jesse is the friendliest guy. Jesse is a funny guy. He's always so happy. As a matter of fact, he's too happy. Nobody could be that happy. I wouldn't be surprised if he's taking uppers before he comes to church. And then there's... What did she think she was wearing? Did she think she was coming to a nightclub? This is church, for goodness sake. You don't wear that in church. It's always great to see Paul and Lily. Paul he is such a great worship leader, and I really love that guy. And Lily, I love her even more. But come on, they've been married for months now, and they're still acting like they like each other so much, and there's all so much in love. They're posting on Facebook. No married couple stays in love that long and that much. So they must be doing something to cover up something. That's all I know. What about the Moors? What were they doing? Whenever we have worship, the whole Moor clan stands up. And not only do they stand up, they raise their hands. They raise their hands. So if you're behind them, you're not getting any worship experience because you're not singing anything. And what do they think they're doing? Flagging God, saying, here God, here we are, taking God's attention away from all of us? No, sirree. I'm going to bring in a bunch of our cousins. We're going to get in the front row, and we're all going to stand up and put our hands in the air and get some of God's attention back on us. You know what? Mike Jones is one of the best men I think I've ever met. Mike Jones is always there. He's trustworthy, he's loyal, he's a man of God, he loves his family, he serves our church. Mike Jones is just one of the good guys. But I've noticed lately, he's really bulked up. He's wearing a tighter shirt, maybe not to show off for everybody, but he's letting those muscles show under that shirt. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Jones was a Chippendales dancer.
I'm getting a phone call. Hi, Liz. How are you? Yeah, David's just talking about Mike being a Chippendales dancer.
You'll never believe this. I just heard Mike Jones is a stripper.
I just heard that Mike Jones works in a strip club every weekend. I feel so bad for Debbie.
Oh my goodness, did you hear? Mike Jones is contacting Isaac and Luke and going to strip clubs. No! Poor Deb.
You're not going to believe what I just heard about Mike Jones. Well, he has been spending all of his time and money on strippers. Really? Yeah, Becky just told me. And if anybody would know, it'll be Becky.
Hey Dave, yeah, I just wanted to call you because I just heard some disturbing news about Mike Jones, and the thing is, I look up to Mike Jones as a man of God, and I respect him and how he treats his family and how he keeps his commitment to his family, and that's why that was my opinion of him. But I just heard some disturbing news about him, and I don't really know if I can respect the leadership and his role in this church, and I don't know what to do. I'm confused. I thought I was looking up to an example, and I just don't know what to do. Can you help me, bro?
Great. This is all I need. In the middle of preparing my message, now I have to deal with this. Mike Jones, what have you done?
Oh my God, that's so
I would say half of you that weren't in it are on the cutting room floor. Believe me, a lot of you, I have another whole video with the rest of you. Even Gloria and Linda didn't escape my gossip. So yeah, we got everybody. Gossip accounts for 67% of women's conversations. 67% of a woman's conversation is gossip. That's a statistic from several different media sources. And sometimes we think gossip is mostly a woman's deal. Guess what the percentage of a man's conversation?
60.
It's close, it's 55. 55. So even though we look at women as gossip, today, everybody sitting here, this message is for you. Man or woman, it doesn't matter. Men's conversations, 55% of them account of gossip. Even if you look at somebody and think there's no way that person can be a gossip. I kind of look around our church, and we've got a lot of people like that. But somebody that really sticks out to me is, you probably don't even know him, Scott Kuiper. I don't see him here today, but he's quiet. He comes in, he serves, he sets up, he does his thing. Whenever he talks, it's about something. It's never gossip. He's just one of those quiet, very, not introverted, but just an inside guy. My feeling is, even he gossips. And if we ask Becky, I bet she would confirm it. But what I'm saying is it's a human emotion that we're built with. Here's what I have found on the internet. Social scientists that I was studying, they say that we're all guilty of using gossip as a vital method of communication. Think about it, the way you talk, the way you communicate. They say, now listen to this, that we thrive on the juicy tidbits that we eagerly wait to hear and share.
Wow.
Does that sound familiar? I mean, is there sometimes you just can't wait to share something? Or is there sometimes you just can't wait to hear what that person has to say about whoever they're going to say it about? The thing is, guys, this is not new. This is not new. I want you to take a look at Proverbs 18:8, written before Jesus, so more than 2,000 years ago. Can we look at Proverbs 18:8? And let's see what it says. The words of a gossip are like choice morsels. They go down to a man's inmost parts. In other words, gossip is just something we just hunger for it, we crave it. That was written in Proverbs over 2,000 years ago, so gossip's been around a long time, and it's been juicy the entire time it's been around. Here's some definitions of gossip I wanted to share with you. Sharing information about the behavior and personal lives of other people. All right. Revealing personal or sensational facts about others. In other words, kind of revealing something personal and making it a little more than it is. Here's a biblical definition that we're going to focus on today. Now listen to this biblical definition. To spread rumors or secrets, speak about someone maliciously behind their back, or repeat something about someone else that you have no right to repeat. That's the kind of gossip we're talking about today. 2 weeks ago when I met with Jim, I said, hey Jim, I'm going to be doing a message on gossip. He says, oh, that's great. He started kind of telling me what he was going to be doing last week on the 9th commandment. And as he was talking to me, I said, hey, Jim, your examples are the exact same as mine, but mine's on gossip. Mine's like fun and light, and gossip is a small little sin, and everybody does it. And he's going, yeah, but this is the 9th commandment. And I started kind of getting a little nervous because I don't want to be dealing with the commandments. They're heavy things. Well, here's what I've come to find out. Gossip is heavy. Gossip is one of the big sins. Now, I know a sin is a sin is a sin. But let's face it, as humans, we rate sins. Murder, gossip, right? Gossip is just as heavy as murder. So here's what I want to refer to. Exodus 20:16. Let's look at this. This is the 9th commandment. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. That's the 9th commandment out of the 10. You should not give false testimony. Growing up, does anybody like have a synonymous saying for that? For me, it was, you shall not slander a person. Slander is a deadly word to me growing up as a kid. It's a law word that just means slander just sounds so nasty and so negative. I would never slander anybody. Slander to me, it just means you're taking somebody and you're just slamming them with false accusations and you're tearing them down and tearing them down. And slander just sounds so bad. I would never do that. Slander. But here's what I've come to find. Let me give you the definition of slander. A false or defamatory oral statement about a person. Similar to gossip. The utterance of false charges or misrepresentation which defame or damage another's reputation. Wait a minute, now I'm thinking, oh great, I've just stumbled into something that's way too heavy for me to speak about. Here's what I found on the internet, and this is going to blow you guys away. It's from a pastor, Scott Parkinson. You have to listen to this closely. Gossip is basically the same thing as slander. Now listen close. But gossip is more wicked and more vicious than slander because it's done in secret. Gossip is slander for the spineless and the weak. This is, yeah, I'm just getting chills telling you because I thought I was going to be up here joking about gossip for an hour, half an hour. So we're going to look at some verses that deal with gossip in the Bible. We'll just go through a couple real quick. First of all, we're going to look at Romans 1:28-32. Furthermore, since they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, God gave them over to a depraved mind to do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossips, slanderers, and God haters. Gossips is in the same sentence with God haters. Insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They are senseless, faithless, heartless, ruthless. Gossip's not supposed to be there. We do it every day. It's fun. It's light. Does this go on? Although they know God's righteousness, righteous decree, that those who do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do those very things, but also approve of those who practice them. You're picking your friends who you like gossiping with, and you're approving of that gossip. What have you just been told in the Bible? You are a God hater. I'm sorry, man. I didn't want to bring this up. Leviticus 19:16. We're going to go with some shorter verses. Do not go about spreading slander among your people. Do not do anything that endangers your neighbor's life. I am the Lord. How about Proverbs 20:19? A gossip betrays a confidence, so avoid a man who talks too much. Matthew 12:36. But I tell you that a man will have to give account on the day of judgment for every careless word they have spoken. All of a sudden, gossip doesn't look so fun and light to me anymore. Gossip is a serious, heavy-duty thing that I need to deal with. And it's funny that when I come here to give a message, it's always one I'm giving to myself. I don't know if anybody in here needs to hear this today, but I need to hear this. And I'm hoping some of you need to hear this too. There's a fine line now, guys, between gossip and conversation. A lot of times we'll go home and we'll talk. We'll talk about people we've had through our day. We'll talk about people that are from work. Last week we were at lunch, and my family and I, we were trying to figure out where's that line that constitutes gossip from talking. Well, last week we left church, and we went to lunch, and I looked at my oldest daughter, Allie, and I said, I just met the coolest dad I've ever met. And Allie knew exactly what I was talking about. He's not here today, but Nick's dad was up here last week doing his thing. He had his ponytail and was just a really cool guy. And we talked about Nick's dad, but did not say one negative thing about that man. That does not constitute gossip. We were talking about somebody, yes, but we were raising him up. We were raising that man up. I don't know Nick's dad, but in that short time I got to meet him, I was raising him up. And that was fun, and that was nice. I'm sure God approved of that conversation. He's not here today, but I was going to make a joke. Let's see, I'll just pick it up with... Yeah, I was going to, but anyway, that won't work. But, I used to like and admire Rick. I did. Until I heard what Carlos said about him. And now my opinion's totally changed. Yeah, because of what Carlos said about you. See what I'm saying? He's done nothing. He said nothing. In that video, Mike Jones did nothing. And Frank lost all respect for Mike Jones. Frank has no respect for Mike Jones. Mike Jones is probably the best guy in this church. Frank's lost all respect for him. Ricky, I would assume, is probably the second best guy in this church. That's why I picked on you. It's funny how that can happen. And that's what constitutes gossip. When you say something that changes that person's opinion about the person you're talking about. So Alex brought up a great scenario with me. She comes home from work, and she likes to share about work people. It's just sharing what happened during the day. And she shares about, how they act during the day. At one point, she says, is it gossip? And I says, you know what? At one point, it crossed the line into gossip because she formed an opinion of somebody. In my mind, I've never met this person. But because of what she said, I formed an opinion of this person that's less than desirable. I formed based on what she said. That's gossip. That's gossip. So it's a fine line. It's a fine line. We need to know where that line is and when not to cross it. How many of you have started a conversation with, don't tell anyone this? How many? Yeah. Or keep this between you and me. Or the best one is, you You didn't hear this from me. But I was trying to kind of wrap it around my mind. And to me, gossip is like adult tattling. All right? Some of us have more propensity as kids towards tattling than others. And it would be funny, it would be interesting to do a survey to see if that person grows up to be more of a gossip than the others. But for me, when I was a kid, where I grew up, we didn't tattle. I mean, I wasn't a tattler. I wasn't just not a tattler. But I knew how to use that to my advantage. So whenever my sister would do something, like when she would sneak a cookie, and I would catch her, and I would say, Tammy, I caught you eating that cookie. And she'd say, don't tell Mom, don't tell Mom, don't tell Mom. I'm not going to tell because I'm not a tattler, but I knew I could use it to my advantage. So I would say something like, okay, I will tell Mom if you scratch my back for 15 minutes. So I get free back scratches a lot. I don't know why I liked back scratches when I was young, but I did. She would scratch my back for 15 minutes. Well, I realized as a kid, you have that valuable piece of information. You want to do something with it, right? As we become adults, nothing changes. You hear something about somebody, you have a valuable piece of information. You want to do something with it, and that's hard. That's hard. I think we learned it as a kid. I think that gossip can be a learned behavior. For me, it is. For me, it was. And now it's become a conscious decision to turn from it. And when I say a learned behavior, it's because I used to love going to my extended family gatherings. About 20 of us would meet for every birthday, all the holidays. And as a kid, I loved it. It was the most fun thing I ever did. As I got a little bit older, I realized why it was so fun. It was one giant gossip fest. That's all it was. That's all it was. It was people ripping on people and making fun of people, and I thought it was so funny hearing my grandma talk about some other lady at church and just ripping on her left and right. And I just thought it was so great as a kid. I developed that part of my personality through my family, that gossip. Because guess what? When they would touch on somebody that I had an opinion about, I needed to get my opinion injected into that conversation, right? Because you just get caught up in it. You get caught up in the whole gossip thing. And they would be talking, and I'm laughing. I was like, oh, they're talking about somebody I can talk about. So I would jump in there and say, what happened, though, as I got a little bit older, and really started getting more into Scripture, just kind of really developing my relationship with God, I realized, wait, it's kind of uncomfortable. This gossiping thing is uncomfortable. Well, long story short, it took a conscious effort on my part to break away from that. And it caused some problems within the family a little bit too. Because what I would do is get up and walk away. I would get up and just leave, maybe go to the other room. I would get up and go play with all the little kids. And what it looked like was that the appearance to them was that I am better than you, so I'm leaving this. In other words, what I'm saying is they knew what they were doing was not right, but they wanted me in it. They weren't respecting me for leaving it. They were actually looking down on me for leaving and thinking, and I wouldn't say a word. It's difficult. It's difficult to get out of a gossiping situation. I'm happy that in my family, we limit gossip, and I don't think we have the same problem with it I did as a kid, but it's been a conscious effort on my part. How do we avoid gossip? That's what I'm going to end up with here. How do we avoid it? Let's look at James 3:8. But no man can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil, full of deadly poison. No man can tame the tongue. So what's the answer? Absolutely. The answer is God. Here's my suggestions. We must make every effort to avoid the situation. How many times has Jim got up here and said, associate yourselves with fellow believers? We are to reach out to non-believers, but we aren't supposed to do what they do. We're not supposed to, do whatever the sins are they're doing. It's the same with gossip. Avoid the situations. If somebody you know is a known gossip, be prepared if you're going to go to lunch with her. If you can't handle it, just don't do it. Avoid the situation. Another thing we can do is pray to God to change our hearts. That's what I did. Change my heart. I love gossip way deep down, deep inside. I love it. I love it. And guess what, guys? God hasn't changed my heart as much as I want him to. Because I still gossip. I do. I'm a guy gossip. And I can't help myself because I grew up that way. I'm probably closer to the 60% in the women. That's just what I do. I go for a run with Carlos and I start to, so how's your family? I want to know everything. Luckily, it's always good things, so we never cross the line. But I push him. Is there anything I should know about Carlos? Anything bad? Why is that? It's human nature. It's human nature. And even today, it's that morsel. It's that morsel we want deep in the soul. And it's planted in there. It's part of our human nature. Another simple thing is change the subject. If somebody starts talking gossip, change the subject. It's that simple. It's really that simple. Guys are good at that because we tend to bond in activities. So it's easier for us. We can talk about the Dodger game, the Laker game. We can talk about, music. We can talk about lifting weights. We can talk about all sorts of... Women are more social. So their social time relies more around talking about family. So it's much more difficult. I think that's why the woman's rate is higher in gossip. Because their relationships and their conversations are different than men. But once it goes towards a gossipy, you just change the conversation and you just come right back to something clean and pure. I want to read a joke that I found off the internet here. There was a middle-aged woman, and she was talking to a younger woman. And she said, I've made a pledge not to gossip anymore. And the younger woman said, me too. I'll never gossip again. For example, I refuse to gossip about my coworker Anita, who's having marital problems. I refuse to gossip about her husband's affair or her meetings with a divorce attorney. And I refuse to gossip about the loud fight they had the other night. The older woman said, yes, we shouldn't gossip about that at all. Is there anything else you refuse to gossip about? It's hard. It's hard. It's very hard. I want to finish with Ephesians 4:29, and we can have the worship team come back up here. I didn't want to prolong this message because we know what we need to do. We know we all do it. We've read that when you gossip, you're a God hater. Do I need to say more? Gossip is hating God. Gossip is slander. Gossip is the 9th commandment. We all do it. We all need to stop it. We all need God's help to do it. Ephesians 4:29. Don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up. That's it, guys. Only talk about somebody if it's building them up and if it's helpful. All right. According to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. It's that simple. If your talk is tearing somebody down or causing the person to have a different opinion about somebody, it's gossip. The Bible tells us only talk about people if you are going to build them up. It's that simple. All right, let's worship.